Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make over some things and we're going to start with this little tray. Now the vignette that I'm doing today is going to be in a bee theme, in a honeybee theme. So I'm not going to make this over as a tray, and I actually like the look of it. The only thing that I'm doing to this is I'm going to paint the hardware on it black, just a flat black, and then instead of using this as a tray, I'm going to turn it into a wall hanging. And it's not going to be just a regular wall hanging, it's actually going to be a wall pocket. So I paint this hardware and it's kind of a galvanized, kind of a fake galvanized look. It's not even real galvanized, but I'm just painting it in this flat black. And then I'm going to, I'll have to clear coat it, but I'll clear coat it with a flat finish because I still want this flat black look that you get from the chalk paint on that. So in order to make this a wall pocket, I'm just going to use cardboard. And it won't look like cardboard when I'm finished, but I'm just going to make the little pocket on the bottom with cardboard. And I don't want it to come up high at all. I want it to be shorter because I'm going to put a stencil on this also. And I want that to be able to show once I put flowers in this little pocket. So I folded this in half so that the top of it would be more of a finished look, and I just glued it together with some hot glue, and then I've cut it to fit exactly inside the tray. So I'll just take some glue and glue around all the edges and then just kind of set that in there flush with the top of the tray. Now, I thought about making this a key holder where I would put a couple or a few hooks in the top and then just use it to hang your car keys and things like that. But those are not real necessary anymore since most of the cars have the automatic ignition. So I'm just going to put a bee stencil on this. And here I am measuring the bottom to make sure that it's even. And then I'm going to glue that in place and then cover it with some scrapbook paper. And the scrapbook paper that I'm going to use is going to be, it's going to look like wood planks. And then that will make this look like wood instead of cardboard. So I just cut this to fit exactly, except a little bit to fold down behind the top, so that it finishes that edge. Now, once I get this glued in place, then I just stuff it with some floral foam. I didn't glue it in, the floral foam in. I just kind of stuffed it down in there, and then I'm going to just add some little parts of some flower picks. And I'm going to use mostly daisies in this because I kind of want to keep these colors of the bee theme going, and I didn't really want sunflowers, so there I have put that floral foam down in, and now I'm just going to start building my arrangement. Now I'm going to display this on just a plate rack, a large plate rack in my vignette, but I'm actually going to put a hanger on the back of this so that it can hang on the wall. And I'm going ahead and doing my arrangement first so that I know exactly where I want my stencil placed. Wanted to take a minute to tell you guys how much I appreciate you all. I have grown to love so many of you so much, and I have gotten so much encouragement from you, and it's been such a blessing to know so many of you, and I just want to tell you all that. I know I don't tell you often enough, but without you guys, this would all be pointless, and I'm just so thankful. This arrangement is actually making me think of something that my husband found today on my front door, because I have an old mailbox on my front door that I change out the arrangement in for different seasons, and he noticed today that a bird has built a beautiful nest in it. And there's actually eggs inside that nest, we very rarely use the front door because we usually go in the garage instead, and so I guess we won't be using it for a while until those eggs hatch. And even when she leaves her nest, I may decide to just leave it in there. I think it just adds a lot to that. I might should have added a nest to this one, but I don't think any human can make a nest as well as these birds do. It's just amazing to me. I saw a video one time of a bird inside a nest, and it was just a video of the bird building the nest that they had sped up, and it's just amazing how they come together. And that's just one of those things that I just really, really love about spring, because you see all these new nests and all the signs of new life. It's just such a pretty season. As you can see, there's just not much to arranging a box like this. You don't have to be good at flower arranging to do this at all. So I'm just going to kind of skip through some of that and just add some finishing touches here. So this is the stencil that I'm going to stencil the bee from, and then I'll just use another French stencil and stencil on that bottom. And I do this all the time, just use parts of these larger stamps, and then they work well for furniture, but they're not limited to large furniture. And now, other than adding the hanger to the back, then this will be finished. And there's still room to add some hooks if that's what I decide to do later. And now the next item that I'm going to make over is a metal pitcher. And it's already black, and that's a good base coat for me. And it also will be the right color for some of the areas that I'm going to leave. But the body of this I'm going to paint in the color Rebel Yellow. So I paint 2 coats of the color Rebel Yellow, and that's a Dixie Belle color, and let that dry well, and then I'm going to be adding a stamp to this. Now again, I'm going to paint the body of it. I'm going to leave the little tiny rim around the top and the bottom, and then the handle in the black. And then it kind of looks like the galvanized, or not the galvanized, it actually looks like the enamel that way. And then usually when I put a clear sealer on my items, I use a matte finish. For this one, I'm going to use a satin finish because I want to give it a little bit of a shine so that it looks more like the enamel. And then I'm just going to stamp this bee from the set Icy Paris. That's a redesign by Prima set. And I'm going to use just this bee and stamp on both the front and the back. And then I will finish this off with the satin finish clear coat. And for this one, I'm going to make a hang tag to match it. Now I'm adding a smaller tag to hang from the front of this one just to add a little more interest and texture. It's the only reason I'm doing it. So I put that on some cardboard, and it's that same bead that's on the larger image. And this is actually, these little images I got from the Graphics Fairy also. We talked about that in the last video, and there's just so many from the Graphics Fairy that you can print off free, and this is one of them. And these make the cutest little hang tags. You can actually print them larger on cardstock, and you already have your hang tag made, because these little images on their own really don't have to have anything to make a pretty hang tag. So here is this one finished. Now I didn't get a good picture of the hang tag, but there it is finished. Now the next item that I'm going to do is just a little beaded tassel. Now because I wanted some of these beads to be just stained wood, then I had my Tobacco Road gel stain that I was just going to put a few drops in a sandwich bag and dye 1/3 of the beads that color. But I also wanted black and white, and I had that same stain in black and white, so that's why I decided to use that rather than to just put a few drops of paint, because you could definitely do that. But again, I just wanted some stained beads in here too, just some that are wood stained. So I divided these in 3 and did those 3 colors, just the stained wood and black and white. Again, I just put a few drops in my bag and kind of rolled that around until I got them completely coated, and then I dumped them out and let them dry. So now I took a piece of jute twine that is twice as long as I want my tassel to be, or my beaded tassel, the tassel and the string with the beads on it also, if that makes sense. So I started with my jute twice as long as I wanted it and folded it, and then I'm feeding that folded line through, or that folded string through my beads so that it didn't try to unravel. So I just alternated these colors until I got them all on here. And I tied a knot in the end of this, or not in the end of it, I tied it probably about 8 inches from the end of it. And that's going to be where I'm going to make my tassel. So I tied a knot at the end of my beads on both sides, and you want the knot right next to your beads on both sides, and then you're going to have some string hanging at the end of each of these. And now I'm going to use one of those bead tag ornaments or images from the Graphics Fairy, and this one has I like the little wings hanging off the side. So I just cut that out, and now I've got a piece of wood that I've cut into the size of a tag. I had some little square pieces, and I just cut those top corners off and made this shaped like a hang tag, and then I just sanded it. Now, because I've already punched a hole in this to make it a tag, I was just going to use it as a tag by itself on cardstock, but I have that hole in it. And so I just went ahead and put some black behind that hole so that it wasn't noticeable. And I'm just going to glue it on like that. I could have printed another one, but I was at the shop and my printer wasn't home. So I wanted to get this finished, and I just made this one work. So now I'm just going to drill a hole in the top of this to make it a tag. And I'm going to tie it to one end of these beads. And on the other end, I'm just going to make a tassel with some more of this jute. And I'm just going to make my tassel. I'm sure most of you know how to do that. I'm just going to wrap some twine around a little piece of board, and then pull that off and tie it together in the center for the tassel. Again, I just wrapped it around that board and cut one end so that I could pull it off. And now I'm going to tie this jute around just the center of this, and I guess these are probably about 6 to 8 inches long, probably about 6, I'd say. And then but just however long you want your tassel. So probably starting with longer is better because you can always trim it down to the size that you want it. Now I'm just going to take one end of that jute and wrap it around the top to form the top of the tassel, and then just tie that off. And this will just be something with the colors that I need to add to the vignette. And it's just kind of a simple thing that you can do to add some of your colors in. And now I'm going to add a set of coasters to this. And I had some white coasters that actually I had painted them white and had them ready to do some coasters with. So they already have the corkboard on the back. And I thought about using just the bee from this little stamp from the Redesign by Prima set, I See Paris, and decided that I had just a regular little bee stamp, just a little wooden stamp. So I decided to do some script stamping in the background and then just add that little bee over the top. And this little wooden bee stamp is one that my sister Tammy gave me, and I'm not sure where she got it. I think she might have thrifted it. But I'm just going to do some light script stamping in the back, and then I'm just going to stamp that little bee on these. I've had different people ask me about my sister because I always say my sister and I don't ever call her by name. So her name is Tammy, and so if I say Tammy, you guys know I'm talking about my sister. I also have other sisters, but that's the one that works with me now. So now I'm just going to stamp this little bee on these. And then I'm going to use my antiquing ink and just kind of antique around those edges. Here I am adding some extra ink to make sure that I get that bee darker than my script stamp because I want it to stand out more than my script stamp. Now adding the antique ink is going to make a lot of difference on these. It's going to give it more of the look of those hang tags, which I really like. And I just antique a lot around the edges, but just very lightly, using very light pressure, I antique the center part as well. Now once I finish these and get them looking the way I want them to, obviously they're going to need to be sealed. And this will just kind of wash off if you try to brush a sealer on this because it's not permanent. So what I have to do is use a spray sealer on them. So I just lightly spray the first coat and let that dry, and then I can put a full coat on them. And obviously, since these are going to be coasters, they're going to need to be sealed really well. So even an extra coat would be a good idea on them. But it's good to make some of these sets to put in your store or in your booth because they make a really good last-minute gift. And you can dress them up for holidays or for any theme. But you can use your stamps on these, or you could decoupage. It just makes a really good little gift. And now I'm just going to wrap some jute around them a few times and tie them off, and then I'll add a hang tag to match it. And again, I think these make a really good gift, and you could even make a gift bag to match it by printing out one of these bee tags large and layering some scrapbook paper behind it on a gift bag, on a plain gift bag, and then print a smaller one out on cardstock for your hang tag, and it would just make a really neat little gift. And I think the only thing that would make a handmade gift better would be a handmade gift bag to put it in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.